of the morning. We're going to open this session and talk about the global chickpea outlook for Kabuli chickpeas. We do have a DESI chickpea panel after lunch. I would like to acknowledge our session sponsor, Jova Mexico Chickpeas. We'd like to thank them very much for sponsoring this session on our chickpea global outlook. We have an esteemed group of panelists this morning to talk about the outlook and what's happening in the chickpea markets. Jim Boshaulu is going to be on the panel. Jay Pashkaruk, Joel Venezuela, Tuba Memish, Jeff Van Pevenage, and Rajat Sarda are going to be on the panel, and I would like to call each of them to the stage and introduce our moderator for this panel, Brian Clancy, the Chief Operating Officer for Stat Publishing. So please come to the stage. All right. Good. And Brian, again, I'd like to introduce our moderator, Brian Clancy, and please a warm welcome for all of our panelists for the Chickpea Outlook. Brian? There you go. Yeah, he'll be sitting here, okay? Yeah, so down to the end.
Should bring it in. Good morning. Wow, I was fearful that the Kabuli chickpea panel wouldn't have that many people at it, but I can see we've got a full room, which is really nice. It makes sense because Kabuli chickpeas have become one of the more interesting and exciting pulses in the whole pulse category this year. And it looks like they'll be very interesting next year and perhaps the year beyond, where some of the other ones, who knows how long the party will last for them. Kind of cool that coincident with the International Year of the Pulses that we've had dramatic price performance in pulses in general for the last year or so. And we're also seeing record production in the world. As part of a general interest in pulses on the part of farmers all over the world, an increased interest in planting them, and I think an increased interest in food companies consuming them, and in other areas of consumption. We're seeing new markets slowly develop, which almost always happens whenever you have increases in production. And I think it's an exciting time, an exciting year. And I hope that International Year of the Pulses has made a big contribution to the growth and interest that we're seeing, and that this is sustainable growth, that we won't see this back off in the future, that this is just the beginning. Years ago, pulses were a big part of the human diet, and they fell off after during the Green Revolution. And it's nice to see them beginning to come back and form a more important part of the human diet. One of the things that I do is, I'm a stats guy, I guess, collect numbers from all over the place. And one of the things that I've been working on are trying to find interesting ways of comparing different markets, so that it makes some sense. Price indexes are one way of doing it because it takes away instead of focusing on individual price performance, you're looking at the performance of prices relative to a base year. In this case, it's 2004. And what we charted out here are the price of Brent crude oil versus the FAO grains index, the FAO oilseed index, and a world pulse price index which I've developed. And what you can see is that they follow each other fairly well most of the time. Pulses for several years were lagging grains and oilseeds, and that was a result of the ethanol diversion programs, the biofuel programs that we saw. And that's changed in the last year with pulses recovering significantly, and they've been at a premium to grains and oilseeds since December of last year. When I look at the pulse price index in general, I want to look at Kabuli compared to that. And one of the interesting things is, as an index, Kabuli have been lagging pulse prices in general for Canada, and pulse prices in general for the world when you put those in an index basis. That combined with weather issues, that may be a bit of a contribution to some of the acreage declines that we had seen in some different parts of the world in some of the producing countries. But now we're seeing Kabuli prices recover, and you can see a sharper spike upward in Kabuli values in the Kabuli index versus the index for other pulses. If you did this in raw price terms, of course, Kabulis would be way over those, because you have Mexican Kabulis, past $1,700 a ton. You've got all these other Kabulis have jumped up to those levels significantly, whereas peas and lentils have backed off from their highs. This is the Mexican Kabuli chickpea market. You can see it's approaching 1,800. We try to do as good a job as we can of gathering price information on the different origins. I think sometimes it can be questioned whether or not how accurate it is, but I think in general the trends that we're identifying in that are fairly accurate, and I think that this graph is representative. The bottom part of the graph is volatility, and that's just a look at price volatility during the various periods, and you can see that for Kabuli chickpeas there are moments of extreme volatility and then longer periods of calm, which is kind of an interesting thing. Right now we appear to be entering a period of more price volatility. On the world basis, we're looking at a tight supply situation for large caliber Kabulis, and the other interesting thing is Russia's rise in the chickpea market, in the Kabuli market. Overall, I'm looking for world production to increase. I think there's, in a way, it seems a bit of a surprise because we have Mexico going down, we have Canada being flat, but we have gains in, we're seeing increases in production in Russia and in Mexico, not Mexico, in the United States and a few other parts of the world. However, despite all of this, I think that the supply-demand situation for Kabulis will remain fairly tight. The stocks-to-use ratio, which is basically stocks-to-use ratio, tells you how many days of what percent of a year of supply is available after everything is accounted for, and the surplus that we're looking at in Kabuli chickpeas is maybe rising from 3% to 4%, whereas the average had been 8%. That's not very many days of supply. That's a couple of weeks. So you can see that the market is always as long as we have supplies like this, the market is always going to be in a situation where any kind of supply shock or demand shock can have a big impact on price because there's a very tight balance between what's available and what's needed. World production, Mexico, these numbers may not be agreed to by the rest of the panel, and it'd be nice if they aren't, because I would like to get other inputs, and you should hear other opinions too. But Mexico is definitely down this year, and that's a significant change because they set the tone for the large caliber Kabuli market. Production in India, I think, could be down. That's for 2016. That's not talking about next year. Russian production this year's crop will probably be up. Last year's crop was a problem, and production was down significantly, but there's been a recovery in seeded area, and there's a hope for recovery in yield, although I think Chem has slightly different opinions on that. He feels that the averages are optimistic, and we've heard that from other speakers where they feel that yields and some things will be below average instead of at their averages. USA and Canada production will be up, with the increase all being in the United States, judging from the seeding intentions reports from Canada and the United States. So world production up in total, which in a way you would think doesn't make sense given the situation of price. Like, how can production be rising, supply rise, and prices continue to rise? And that's just reflecting differences in the markets. One of the most significant things that I've detected is a split in the Kabuli market. There's Russia is adding to the world supply, but it's not competing with Mexico, and it's not competing in the large caliber Kabuli segment. Most of its exports are to India and Pakistan, and some to the Middle East. And India and Pakistan, I think, is probably competing with the Desi chickpeas, and hence competing with yellow peas. So it's a different, it's almost like a new market being developed for chickpeas because of the excess production in Russia. And that's an interesting development and an exciting one, but it also fragments the market, and I think can make it harder to understand price performance when you look at overall supply. But you have to remember that Kabulis is a big category that encompasses many market segments, from Mexico at the top and the small calibers at the bottom, which are competing in the Desi type markets and grinding markets. Mexico's supply situation is, again, 2 years of very tight ending stocks and limited production, real problems. It'll affect their capacity to export chickpeas, which creates opportunities for other countries. But in the large caliber market, other than India, there's not very many people. India and the United States, there's not many other people that are competing for that segment. When you get into the medium calibers and the smalls, I think that the market broadens out quite a bit and there's far more competition. And that's it. There's going to be competition among buyers for the available supply of large caliber chickpeas. Small caliber chickpeas are competing more frequently with field peas, yellow peas in particular. And there's a potential, given the price performance that we're going to be seeing this year through February, March, April, that we'll see a significant rebound in production in 2017 in the Kabuli category in general. So that's it for me. And now we'll try to get everyone else here has a few things they want to say. Chem, we were comparing the Russian numbers a little bit a couple of nights ago, and I know that
Yes.
you have slightly different opinions, so I wondered if you could bring us up to date on the situation in Russia, what you think will be the production this year, and if there are any other aspects to the way they're being exported that ought to be discussed.
Well, I mean, yes, we had a very slight difference, and I think this is due to the fact that Russia is not very good in statistics. Everybody knows that. I believe more or less, I mean, plus 20, 30,000 tons or minus, we are on the same page, especially for the last year's export. Everybody knows that our crop was really damaged due to the heat wave which came in the flowering stage. I believe this year there will be a good recovery, but it is still subject to the weather imperfection, if there will be any or not. Right now, I can tell you, the only concern, opposite to the last year, there is some excess rain in some regions which is slowing down a bit the seeding, but in general, we expect a good rise in the area. And if the rain situation improves, it's going to be a nice crop for us. On the export side, I believe we are going to be for the next year, I mean, in the production side, let's say, we are going to be at 450,000 ton, a bit less than your estimation, but still is going to be almost 60-70% more compared to the last year.
Thank you. Jay, Statistics Canada said that the farmers don't intend to increase area at all. There were people in the industry, especially outside Canada, that said, no, that can't be true. The question becomes I don't know, not to ask whether or not you agree with them specifically, because what's actually planted is going to be different, and it always is. But what is it that's holding back chickpeas in Canada? And do you think that there will be any change in that?
Yeah, I guess what we're thinking is the chickpea acres in Canada won't drop, which is what the market sort of is saying today. We think, we should see very stable supply. you know, we're thinking, 130 to 150,000 acres, which would put it around where the crop was last year. That would equate to about 115,000 tons of production. In terms of what's holding it back, I think the growers that are able to grow it and have the experience to grow it are doing so and doing well at it. The farmers who don't do it, it is quite cumbersome. So you have to babysit the crop. It's not like a simple red lentil crop where you can, put it in, spray it, and forget it. You have to check on the crop. You have to watch for disease very closely. You have to really pay attention to the frost dates because all this can affect the price, monumentally. So that's the only thing I think that would, hold it back from wide-scale growth. But I think the prices have been quite competitive for the chickpeas. So in the long term, we should see, stability and a small amount of growth.
So really, it's just for Canadian farmers or the type of agronomics we have in Canada, it's a crop where you have to be in a really good area and really experienced to have any kind of success with it. Whereas lentils or peas, you can be a first timer and have a reasonable outcome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the quality is paramount in the chickpeas, as we all know.
Joel, I guess Mexico is critical to the Kabuli market in general. In my mind, it sets the tone for the whole market complex from the small to the large. And the crops in Mexico are not in good shape this year. Can you give us what your current estimate of production is there and how you see that evolving?
Okay, so first of all, thank you very much to the CICILS organization for the invitation for the GPC. So my name is Joel Valenzuela. I come from Mexico, from Culiacán, Sinaloa, Mexico. Sinaloa, as everybody knows, is the main area for the Kabuli type chickpeas. The chickpeas in Mexico are produced in Sinaloa state and the north state of Sonora and some on Baja California. The latest numbers, I'm going to do to compare the actual numbers with the last year. Last year, Mexico total exports was around 140,000 tons of 12 mm, 42, 44 sizes. From the 140,000 exported, we had a production of 120,000 plus a 20,000 tons carryover, so giving a total of 140. This year, we have no carryover or very small, less than 5,000 tons, and the production in Sinaloa was 50,000 tons. This Sinaloa state is total harvest, so it's gone, it's complete. We are now in the Sonora state in the middle of the harvest. From today, we have, I think, 2 more weeks. The estimation is to have 20,000 tons in Sonora plus the 50,000 in Sinaloa, giving a total of 70,000 tons. From these 70,000 tons for this year, we need to take away some of the local consumption, the domestic market, and the seeding for the next year. So my numbers compared to your numbers, to the numbers you put on the here, we will have this year only 60,000 tons, and from these 60,000, already exported around 10,000. So from today until March 2017, we will have 50,000 tons for the next 10 months until we have a new crop. The farmers in the area where I come, they are changing from doing chickpeas, they are doing corn, white corn. They are having more incomes doing corn, maize. Also, the last 3 years, we've been having a very cold winter with lots of rain. So as everybody knows, the farmers do not like to have rains during the planting season. So for chickpeas, it takes 4 months from the planting, from the seeding to the harvest time. So in these 4 months, in the last months, like January or February, you have some rains, then you have no crop. So that's why the farmers are changing from chickpeas to corn. So everybody's asking me in the convention the beliefs for the next year will be a very big crop in Mexico, and I don't think so, because if the weather conditions remain the same, people will be very carefully on doing chickpeas, and I think they will keep doing corn. So this is the numbers, the reality until today.
So you see that as a permanent problem then? It'll be a problem for a long time, the switch into corn.
Yes, they are having more, they're making more money with the corn. So the corn takes 6 or 7 months, and if you have rain during the time, the corn has no problem with the rain, with the water. So that's why farmers are switching to other beans or to corn. So the prices, I agree with your price, with the price you put on the screen. Today, 42.44 indication price is $1,800. There's no buyers. There are no buyers, but the production in Mexico, the quality was very good. It's one of the best years in quality terms. The quantity is very low. It's very, very low. So this is a reality that everybody knows.
Okay, thank you. Tuba, you want to really expand on the situation in Turkey, and it's important that we do. It's a rare opportunity to have someone who really understands the market there to speak to it, and I'm looking forward to what you have to say.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Turkey is one of the most important country for world's Kabuli chickpeas trade and also consumption. Our consumption is decreasing every year, but right now is around 350,000 metric tons. Each year, Turkish chickpeas production also decreasing. Since Turkish production is very less, that's why Turkey is buying chickpeas from outside, like Russia, Argentina, Canada, Mexico, USA, and Argentina, and we are trading these origin chickpeas. Last year, weather condition wasn't good in Turkey. That's why even in the reports shows that our chickpeas production is around 450,000 metric tons. We only get 100,000 metric tons chickpeas. Last year, we bought 120,000 metric tons chickpeas from Russia, 22,000 metric tons from Mexico, 17,000 tons from Canada, 10,000 tons from India, and some quantity from Kazakhstan and Ukraine. We total bought 170,000 metric tons from the outside last year. In 2015, 35,000 metric tons chickpeas was directly imported and consumed in Turkish market. 135,000 metric tons chickpeas re-exported to the other countries. We are exporting our chickpeas especially to Syria and Iraq, other Middle East countries, and European countries. In Turkey, most of the crop is planting in Middle Anatolia and Southeast Anatolia. This year in Southeast Anatolia, there is a drought problem. That's why yield will be less in that area. But the rest of the planting area seems good this year. And since the prices are very good, farmers are willing to plant more chickpeas this year. That's why in some areas planting is still continuous till end of the May. If the weather condition is okay, we are expecting to 230,000 metric tons crop this year. In Turkey, Actually, the 30% planting area increase. That's why we got this number. We can get the harvest in middle of the August mostly this year. In Turkey, last year through the WFP tenders, we sold 65,000 metric tons chickpeas to Syria and Iraq. This year we are expecting this number or more than this number. That's why Turkey will need more small-sized chickpeas this year. For the price indication, since the market is higher, Turkish crop can start for the 7 millim around $950 US. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks. Jeff, your production in the United States has been climbing again in the last couple of years. And this year there's a big increase in production. I'm going to ask you a question that you never would have expected. But I'm having a real hard time disappearing your crop. And talking with Max Heinrichs, we ended up thinking that just tells you how important the pet food industry has become to the North American chickpea market, to the United States in particular. And that, of course, is a new market development. It's only in recent years. So I wonder if you can help us understand those relationships and and what impact that may actually have on the exportable surpluses.
Sure. If you look at the U.S. Kabuli chickpea market over the course of the last 10 years, 10 years ago we would raise a 100,000 ton crop, we would export 70% of it. Today, take last year out of it because we had a drought in the major chickpea growing area, so we only produced about 115,000 ton crop. But in general, we're now up to producing 170 to 200,000 ton crop. However, we're still only exporting 40 to 50,000 tons of it. All the rest of it is being consumed in the United States now. So over the course of the last 4 to 5 years, we've seen huge demand increases for hummus. We've seen big demand increases for the pet food industry. If you look at both yellow peas and now we're seeing it in the chickpea industry, you're seeing a lot of this crop go to the dog food, cat food industry where they're buying it for the protein and it's cheaper and better. There's a big promotion going on with a lot of these pet food companies that they can put on their bag GMO free, non-grain, healthy for your pets. And it sells at a good premium. So if you look at chickpea flour and crushing chickpea, and a lot of that product is going and ending up in the pet food market. One of the shifts we're also seeing in chickpeas, it used to be that about 80% of the chickpeas in the United States were grown in Washington, Idaho, out in the Pacific Northwest, and that's where we grow our high-quality 9-10 mm Sierra-style chickpeas. This year, you're only going to see about 55% of the production in the Pacific Northwest. 45% of it's shifting more into Montana, North Dakota, and those are actually closer to the pet food industries. So the marketing goes that way better.
Mm-hmm. So that shift in the locations helping with domestic market development as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Do you think will we get to a point where the U.S. domestic market completely dominates and the exports are under exportable surpluses are under real pressure?
I would definitely say the dietary trends in the United States are pushing us that if we don't take another leap in production from here, that we will consume our whole crop sometime in the next 5 to 7 years.
Okay, thank you. Raja, India is an interesting country because Kabuli or dollar-type chickpea is the only crop that you can grow for export purposes. The only pulse that can be grown for export purposes. And I think, it seems to be contributing to interest in producing it over the years. India's possibly the biggest export producer of Kabuli-type chickpeas right now in the world, or can be from year to year. And I think what was grown there this past year is critical. And how optimistic are you about production in 2017?
Thank you, Brian. First of all, I would like to give you a brief about the numbers from India. When we were about to start the harvest in India, we estimated that, the trade estimated that we're going to have a crop similar to the last year's crop, which was about 425 to 450,000 tons. But as we moved into the harvest and when we see the arrivals coming to the market, at a point in March, we should be having arrivals, if the crop is all well, we are expecting arrivals of 5,000 tons to 6,000 tons per day into the marketplaces. But this year, the arrivals at max reached 3,000 tons a day, which definitely panicked the traders, and they realized that there has been serious errors in crop estimation this year. So, which is why we see what the panic happened in India, because a lot of people were short on the chickpea side, and Indians sold a lot of cargo in Gulf food, and they panicked to buy anything and everything which was available to them, and pushing up prices higher by $400 to $500 in a short span of 15 to 20 days. According to me, according to the trade now, they're estimating that the crop is as low as 225,000 tons, which I don't think is correct. I would still see India would be able to come up with 300,000 to 325,000 tons towards the end of the year. Because normally we see a tendency amongst farmers when the markets are going up, they tend to hold the product, expecting better prices in coming months, and which is the reason the arrivals have vanished now. But I think the arrivals should get better a couple of months down the line when the farmers will see that the rainfalls are good and they would be planting for the next crop. By that time, I think we'll have some more cargo coming into the market. As long as you're talking about the 2017 crop, looking at the prices this year, I think farmers would be motivated to sow much more chickpeas next year, because they're getting better margins as compared to other pulses like which are normally substituted, like wheat and the daisies and the lentils. Because this year a lot of Kabuli chickpea production was substituted by daisies and lentils, which is why we are seeing such a shortfall.
The chickpea production in India, it's not generalized, it's fairly localized?
Yeah, it's fairly localized. The Kabuli chickpea production, I come from a place known as Indore, and the Kabuli chickpeas are grown in and around 200-kilometer radius of my place. So it's fairly localized, not in general.
Yeah, it's not like Desi?
Not like this, yes.
No. Okay, that's an important thing to know. Is there any questions? Did anyone have something they want to ask? I know probably when it suddenly comes to the question time, you feel like you don't have one, but some people, they come to mind real fast.
Hi, Damien Gallego from Canadian Grain Inc. I do the trade both in all three places, Canada, Mexico, and Argentina. I would like to know the panel's opinion regarding what's the role that speculation is taking this year. As Joel mentioned it, at 1800 there are no buyers. It seems to me also that the 7, 8, and 9 mm market is disconnected from the 12 and above. So what is your take on speculation? Is it speculation is going to take a higher role, or we're going to see that in fact more production and there's going to be scarcity of chickpeas? So what is the reality? Is it more towards speculation or more to reality of shortage of product?
Well, I think the price is going to be for the rest of the year is going to be on a very high side, because there was no production in Mexico. So we pay very high prices to the farmers. We are buying today, yesterday, the reports I have from Mexico is that the exporters, including our company, we're paying up to $1,300 to the local farmers, $1,300 from the fields, without any process, without any cleaning. So the quality is extremely good. Mexican exporters know how to do the conservation, preservation. We do fumigation every 28 days, every month. So I think the buyer countries like Turkey have not confirmed, or I mean, it's not clear, have not accept the idea of the shortness in our country, in Mexico. So it will take some time for the people to understand the problem that we have. It's 50 to 60% less production than last year. So after the summer, after Ramadan, and maybe after August or September, the prices can even go higher from the 1800 levels to the 1900 levels. So I think it's we Mexicans, we are not speculating, but we are paying very high prices to the farmers, plus the storage, fumigation, financial, everything. This is the prices that we need to sell. If we sell less than 17 or 1800, then we are losing money. So.
In Turkey, mostly consuming small size. Big size is not consuming at this level of price. Small size is more popular right now. And right now, I think the price level is too high. So Russia has a very big crop. Turkish crop is coming. So I don't think prices will go higher.
Yeah.
Well, whenever the markets have such a huge shortage of chickpeas, we cannot really subside that there is no speculation. I think there is speculation sometimes, and we cannot deny that it is happening. But going further ahead, I see that the arrivals in Indian markets have dried up completely. And for the next 3-4 months, I don't see that there'll be too much cargo coming into the market. So prices are going to remain stable to high for the next 3-4 months. But as we enter into the sowing for the new crop, which will be harvested in 2017, by that time I think the prices should correct, because a similar thing happened in 2012. As we all know, the prices started rising from $1,200 and went up till $1,800, $1,850, and by the end of November, and they started to crash in December, and within 15 days' time, the prices crashed from $1,800 to $1,100. So this is what we have seen. So we cannot deny that there was not speculation. Okay, but this year again, at this moment, we don't know. But then, yeah, there is always a possibility that we may see a repeat of 2012. I cannot completely deny that.
So in my opinion, the volatility in the crop will breed speculation. So whether it's up or down, there's a clear shortfall in the large size, so we'll see stability to firmness in that market. On the small side, that's up to Jem. But the other thing to consider is the Indian crop doesn't have the ability to indefinitely store. So we could see some product coming out of the woodwork, later in the year, because, the crop has to move to protect from weevils. So,
as far as at the period right now where you've got a short Mexican crop, I can tell you that the U.S. stocks are already completely cleaned out from last year's crop. So we're still 90 days away from having another crop and putting it into the marketplace. Actually, last month, for the first time in a long time, the United States imported more chickpeas than what it exported. So we have strong demand there. And when the world wants to look at the bigger chickpeas, we're going to consume a lot of ours right at home. So I'm not sure that, I wouldn't say that, yeah, there's probably some speculation in the market, but I think the market prices are justified and correct with where they're at right now.
Yeah, for me as well, Obviously, there is a supply and demand imperfection somewhere. How it's going to fix? Yes, there is an excess production in Russia for the small calibers, but we have to understand from our Indian and Pakistani friends what is the real demand in the market. Because as long as they keep buying at these prices, of course the sellers are going to increase the prices. On the other side, you know, in general, in India and Pakistan, the common consumption is the desi chickpeas, while the small caliber chickpeas is supposed to be a bit niche market. So we need to know how big is the demand. I mean, in the last couple of years, we have seen that the consumption was, I believe, around a couple of 100,000 tons. But sometimes the pricing was even $100 below the disease, and sometimes it's going $100 above the disease. So it's all about the how to say, the demand strength, in my opinion.
Whoa, back here, wow.
Thank you very much for the presentation and for the Kabuli chickpeas. I just want to add something to the panel. I think yesterday Murat Al-Khatib had a very strong point on the hummus subject. I think it's a little bit avoided and it should be really good taken care of. I am one of the ingredient supplier for Pepsi for the USA market. Only 5 years ago, the total hummus consumption in USA was $95 million. And in 5 years, it came up to $1 billion now. And there is another 85 hummus manufacturers which are very big in USA. And this trend also moved to Australia, UK, New Zealand as well, which is growing in double-digit numbers. And knowing the fact that 40% of the ingredient is chickpeas in the hummus production, there is going to be a very big demand for the hummus industry for chickpeas. The most important point is actually $1 billion is being consumed by 8% of the USA population. So the question is, what is going to be available when this percentage is up to 20–30% of USA population? There will not be enough chickpeas to supply hummus industry. Thank you very much.
I think Jeff, in his comments earlier, really addressed that point when he said he expects in 5 to 7 years that the U.S. will be consuming everything it grows, and domestically, unless there is a significant increase in domestic production in the United States, and we see increases in other parts of the world. There was a question here.
Excuse me. 2 questions. What is the carry-in that India got for last year or this crop? And what is of the Kabuli production, what is the total consumption they use as internal?
Last 3–4 years, India has been consuming around 180,000 to 200,000 tons of chickpeas, which we produce domestically. This year we started with almost negligible carry-in. I would say 5 to 10,000 tons, which cannot really be counted as compared to the crop size in India. Last year, although 2015 crop, we did start with a huge carryover of approximately 80,000 to 90,000 tons.
Hello, I have a question about the chickpeas prices. Nowadays, the chickpeas price is so high. We had same situation for the beans 3 years ago. The beans price is now it's decreased, so it is dangerous for the market. About the chickpeas prices, what do you think about the prices of the chickpeas? What will be happen in the future? The question is for the India, and if the Russian side wants to answer it. But first is India. Thank you.
I believe since the arrivals won't increase for next 3 to 4 months in India, and there won't be a sudden supply of large caliber chickpeas available to the world, I think that the prices are going to remain stable to firm in the coming 3 to 4 months. And once we get into the sowing era, and whatever is left from the sowing is available with the farmers. I think farmers as well as traders both would like to get rid of all the stocks that they have. So we may see a price fall then.
Yeah, I think for all the agricultural products, it's like a cycle. Once we have very high prices, this triggers very big productions, and this is how the supply-demand the imperfection is fixed. And of course, at a point, the prices are going to go down. However, on the other side, we have the increasing demand for the pulses, as we said in general, for chickpeas in the case of hummus. So I'm not thinking that the production is going to be at a point to disappear or increase the total production. It will keep increasing, but the demand is increasing as well. So don't expect the chickpeas to be on the floor everywhere. Of course, the price is going to be fixed, but we need time for that.
My question is with Rajat that what is the total quantity of chickpeas is already arrived in the market and what is in the stock?
Arrived in the market, I think approximately 170,000 tons has already come into the market, and out of which 75,000 tons is already exported out of India. 60 to 65,000 tons would be consumed in domestic market, and I think whatever is left, you can do the math, that should be the stocks available with the traders. Although I believe the rest of the crop, there's a lot of stocks still available with the farmers, but looking at the time frame, we will not have any crops till we'll not have a new harvest till next February. But yeah, definitely we will have a lot of imports coming into India, which Indian traders would have bought from Argentina, Canada, USA, and all other places. And before that, we'll have the new Russian chickpeas coming into India in September, October, there onwards. So, and after that, I think a lot of new crop US chickpeas have also been bought by Indians. So that thing, as I said, after 3 to 4 months, there'll be a lot of domestic chickpeas coming into the market, a lot of imported chickpeas coming into India. So that could be, that could ease off the price pressure which is currently on the Kabulis.
My question is for Mexico. Do you afraid of, so the Turkey has to used to import a lot from Mexico and now it's really decreased. Do you afraid of any substitution even in your country in other places because of the record prices?
Yes. Answering your question, the substitution destination for Mexico this year is being Jebel Ali. Dubai is buying a lot of Mexican chickpeas. So I think that Turkey, from my point of view, Turkey is having problems with the countries on the south of the border. So before, many cargo coming from Mexico to Turkey goes down to the neighborhood countries, Iraq, Iran, Syria. So a lot of this business now is going from Mexico to Jebel Ali, and then from the Dubai buyers moving to these destinations that used to do the business for Turkey. So from for the last 2 months, already exported from Mexico was 10,000 tons, already loaded. So most of the destination is Dubai. Jebel Ali is doing a lot of purchases from Mexico. So of course we are afraid. We are thinking what is happening with the Turkish power of placing orders from Mexico. So the situation is very difficult for the Turkish importers and for the Mexican exporters. The main consumers are Algeria, Turkey, Spain, but this year Dubai is doing a main player for Mexican chickpeas.
I want to add something. Turkey is buying Mexican chickpeas mostly, of course, for domestic market and also for Iraq market. There is an economic problem in Iraq too much, so they are looking for a cheap chickpeas. So they are focusing on mostly Russian chickpeas right now.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I have to, unfortunately, we're just ran out of time. I'm amazed and impressed by the interest there is in Kabuli chickpeas and in this session. I want to thank you very much. Please give a very warm hand of welcome to our panelists. And make sure to ask them all your questions during lunch and keep their minds busy. Thank you very much.
All right, I'd like to thank Brian Clancy and the entire Chickpea team here. We do have a small gift for you as you exit the stage. But again, a big round of applause for the global Chickpea outlook. All right, again, I'd like to thank Jova Mexico Chickpeas as the session sponsor. We have lunch right now, which is sponsored by Maviga. We will begin again at 1:15 with the Desi Chickpea panel. So be back in the room at 1:15. Thank you very much.
Dragon July.